Chapter 3, Meeting Life Challenges. Nature, types and sources of stress. In our everyday life, we are facing some kind of challenge, some problem, some kind of difficulty that put us to a stressful situation. If these situations are handled properly, one can survive. One can even find out the ways to solve the problem. However, if these difficulties they go beyond a certain extent, it may cause complete disruption, unpleasant situation, and may even cause our performance to deteriorate. So what exactly is stress? Stress is a pattern of responses an organism makes to a stimulus that disturbs the equilibrium and exceeds a person's capability to cope with the situation. So, for instance, if you are traveling in a crowded bus every day, what is the kind of response that you are making to that particular crowded environment? And maybe that may disturb your equilibrium or your balance or your work life. And sometimes you are not able to cope up with the situation. So that exactly is stress. Stress has been put under two headings. Eustress, which is good for you because it is said that some amount of stress is required in our life to achieve our performance, desired performance, and to reach our goal. Whereas this eustress can even turn to a distress. This distress causes wear and tear of the body. Students, in our everyday life, we hear this word strain quite often. We are under a lot of strain today. This work has caused a lot of strain to us. So what is strain? Strain is your reaction to external stressors. According to the cognitive theory of stress, which was given by Lazarus and his colleagues, they have given two concepts. One is primary appraisal and the other is secondary appraisal. Now let us understand what is meant by primary appraisal. Whenever there is a new changing environment, we can perceive that change as either positive or negative or neutral. For instance, we are used to work in a particular system. Suddenly there is a change in the way that system has to operate. So a person can perceive that particular change as either positive by taking it positively and learning it, or neutral, okay, it is average, or it may be negative, that why do I have to learn it again. Now, negative events are evaluated for their possible harm, threat or challenge. Harm means the damage, threat is the assessment of future damage, and challenge is the confident expectations of the ability to cope with the stressful event, the potential to overcome and even make a profit from that event. You take up that work as a challenge. You are confident that yes, I will be able to deal with that event and I will be able to derive benefit out of that event. That is a part of challenge. Let us come to secondary appraisal now. Secondary appraisal means that you evaluate that whether your abilities and sources are sufficient to meet harm, threat or challenge. These appraisals, mind you, are very, very subjective in nature and they deal or they are based on various factors. One of the factor is that whether you have any prior experience in dealing with the situation. If you have handled the situation earlier, it will be less threatening for you. Another factor is that whether you are able to control the situation. That is called controllability of the situation. So the person who believes that he can control the negative situation and can even face the negative consequences will have less amount of stress than those who cannot control the situation at all. So we can say that the stress which the people experience vary in the terms of their intensity, in the terms of their duration, that is whether the stress lasted for a shorter term or longer term, complexity, that less complex or very complicated, or predictability, that is whether you were able to anticipate the stress, it was expected or not, or whether it is unpredictable. Coming to the symptoms of stress, have you ever assessed that what kind of symptoms or what kind of behavioral effects you show when you are under stress? Well, you can name a few yourself only. You are having lack of concentration. You cannot concentrate in your current work. You cannot take good decisions in your life. You are constantly worrying about the situation, that what will happen. There is a complete anxiety and fear inside you, and if it goes beyond the limit, it may lead to depression. There could be problems in sleep. There could be headache, backache. So headaches and backaches are also the indicators of a stressful situation. Having said and done this, let us understand the types of stress. The various types of stress are physical and environmental stress, psychological stress, and social stress. Let us understand what is a physical stress. Physical stress, if you are exhausted, if you are not taking a good diet, or if you are injured, right? In that case, you have physical stress. Environmental stress could be fire, earthquake, flood. It could be even pollution. It could be a noise. It could be crowding, as we discussed earlier. It could be even the temperature. Even heat is found to be stressful. Psychological stress. Psychological stress are those stress which are unique to the person who is experiencing them. Well, it is very much important to discuss here two concepts which we have already done in class 11. One is frustration and the other is conflict. What is frustration? Frustration, as you already know, it is the blocking of needs and motives by something or by somebody who stands in the way of achieving the goal. Conflict can take place between two incompatible needs. For example, if you remember, we have done approach conflict. That a person wants to attend the wedding of his cousin, and as well as he wants to attend the birthday party of his friend. So he is in an approach conflict. So there are two incompatible needs. It may also result from internal pressure and social pressure. Internal pressure is that pressure that we exercise from within. We want to be perfect in certain areas, and if we are not, it may lead to disappointment. And social pressure means people make too much of demands. They have too much of expectations from us. So that can lead to social pressure. So let me sum up again. Psychological stress has four aspects: frustration, conflict, internal pressure, and social pressure. Let us come to the third type of stress, which is called social stress. The word social, as indicates, it comes from the society. Social events like any kind of death in the family, any kind of illness, any kind of strained relationship in the family, maybe even a quarrel with a neighbor, can result in a social stress. Sources of stress. As you can see here from the web chart, there are three sources of stress: life events, hassles, and traumatic events. Life events. In our life, we have a lot of changes which are sudden, which are gradual, and definitely they have an effect or impact upon us. Some of these events can be dealt with, others may cause emotional upheaval. Hassles. Hassles are something which are highly irritating or annoying. For example, the hassle of electricity shortage, water shortage, noisy atmosphere, quarrelsome neighbors. These are the daily hassles that we deal with that can be quite stressful. Then we have traumatic events. Traumatic events are those events which have been very, very shocking. For example, the loss of property due to fire, a train accident or a road accident, could be an earthquake, could be robbery, tsunami. So the effect of these traumatic events may occur after a certain period of time and may lead to anxiety, dreams, intrusive thoughts, and flashbacks. After understanding the sources of stress, it is very, very important to realize what is the effect of the stress on our psychological functioning and health. Emotional effect. People who are under stress, you must have observed, they have mood swings, they show erratic behavior, and they are separated from their family and friends. Gradually, they have reduced confidence level and severe emotional problems. Physiological effect. Physiological effect increases the production of certain hormones that produce the change in heart rate, blood pressure, metabolism, and physical activity. Cognitive effect. Cognitive effect happens to impact the individuals in such a way that there is a loss of memory, there is a loss of concentration, poor decision making, not able to take the right judgment at the right time, financial loss, or even the loss of a job. Last but not the least is the behavioral effect. Now, behavioral symptoms in the terms of taking excess of caffeine, alcohol, drugs, tranquilizers. Tranquilizers can be effective in the terms of that they help the people to come out of a situation by creating loss of concentration, poor coordination, and dizziness. There is a disturbed sleep pattern, reduced work efficiency, and increase in absenteeism. There is a model of stress which is called General Adaptation Syndrome, which is also known as GAS model. This model was given by Hans Selye. According to the GAS model, there are 3 stages. One is alarm reaction. Alarm means suddenly if there is a stressor, the adrenal pituitary cortex system will get activated and release the hormones. So once the person faces this alarm, he will be ready for either flight or fight. Resistance. If this stress goes on for a long period of time, our parasympathetic nervous system. Students, if you remember in class 11, we had done sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, in which I had told you that in the case of sympathetic nervous system, there could be a rise in the blood pressure, heart rate, or even the pupils of the eyes get dilated. But the parasympathetic nervous system puts it back to the normal stage after the shock is over. So the parasympathetic nervous system works here as well and causes a cautious use of the body's resources. The organism makes effort to cope up with the threat through confrontation. Exhaustion stage. One feels exhausted or completely tired out when the body is drained out of all the resources and all the physiological system involved in this alarm reaction and even in the stage of resistance, they are becoming totally ineffective. And then there are stress-related diseases like high blood pressure. Now, this particular GAS model has also suffered from certain criticisms. The people say that they do not play emphasis on the psychological factors, rather they have given more emphasis on the physiological factors. So psychological appraisal of the events is very, very important to determine stress. Stress causes illness by impairing the working of our immune system. As we know that the immune system protects and guards the body from outside attackers or the attackers from within. Psychoneuroimmunology. This focuses upon the link between mind, brain and the immune system. Now, there are certain white blood cells in our body, T cells, B cells, T helper cells and natural killer cells. I would like to focus on the function of each of them. As you can see here, T cells, their role is to destroy the invaders. B cells, they produce antibodies. T helper cells increase immunological activity, whereas the natural killer cells, they fight against virus and tumor. The T helper cells, when they are attacked by human immunodeficiency virus or HIV, it causes acquired immunodeficiency syndrome or AIDS. Let's start with the topic coping with stress. Coping is a dynamic, situation-specific response to stress. You know, the way we cope with our stressful situation depends upon our past experiences and belief. We basically need to sit and think how we can cope with stress, Endler and Parker have listed 3 coping strategies: task-oriented, emotion-oriented, and avoidance-oriented. Task-oriented means you obtain information about the stressful situation and then decide what are the alternative courses of action and their possible outcome. Emotion-oriented strategy, you have to maintain your hope and control your emotions. You can even vent out your feelings of anger or frustration, or you can even decide that nothing can be done in order to change the situation. Avoidance-oriented strategy. This is to basically minimize the seriousness of the situation, and we basically replace the stressful thoughts by self-protective thoughts. For example, there are certain people who have the habit of pushing things under the carpet, like a person has an exam the next day, either he is calling up his friend or he is watching a television. So these are the strategies given by Endler and Parker. Now, let us focus on the strategies given by Lazarus and Folkman. Coping, they say that coping refers to changing cognitive and behavioral efforts to master or to reduce the demands of the stressful situation. Problem-focused strategy, they attack the problem itself with behavior designed to gain information to alter the belief and commitment. Emotion-focused strategy, on the other hand, they basically call for psychological changes designed to limit the emotional disruption or the extent to which a person is shattered due to that particular event. That is known as emotion-focused strategy. Lifestyle and stress. Studies have revealed that health-promoting behavior like balanced diet, regular exercise, family support play a very, very important role in maintaining good health. But if you adhere to the lifestyle where there is lack of nutrition, then regular exercise, etc. is missing, and where positive thinking is not involved, then in such a case, life can be very, very stressful. So people having poor nutritional habits, sleeplessness, and addicting themselves to smoking and alcohol, they are health impairing behavior, and they are normally not accompanied by pleasant experiences. So what are the techniques which are required to manage the stress? Relaxation. Relaxation starts from the lower part of the body and progresses up to the facial muscles. So deep breathing is used here. Meditation. Here we basically refocus the attention to bring about an altered state of consciousness. So there is a lot of concentration involved in meditation. Biofeedback. Here we monitor and reduce the physiological aspects of stress by getting the feedback or providing the feedback about your current physiological activity accompanied by a relaxation training. There are 3 stages in biofeedback. First, you get to know what is your physiological response to stress. For example, your heart rate, your blood pressure, etc. Then you control that physiological response in very, very quiet condition, and then you transfer this kind of control to your everyday pattern of life. Creative visualization uses imagery and imagination. You can visualize yourself towards a realistic goal, and you can even visualize how you are able to reach that goal. So this way the person can increase his confidence. It is only possible when one is relaxed and when the eyes are closed. Cognitive behavioral technique. Cognitive behavioral technique basically replaces the irrational or negative thoughts with a rational thought. So there are 3 phases here. You assess, then you do the practice of stress reduction techniques, and then application and follow-up. Exercise can provide an effective outlet for physiological arousal and improves the efficiency of heart, lungs, blood circulation, reduces the fat. Swimming, walking, cycling, these are exercises. There are certain life skills which have been advocated for a positive and adaptive behavior in order to reduce stress. Now let us discuss these life skills one by one. The first life skill is assertiveness. Assertiveness means learning to say no. You can develop this particular skill and communicate clearly and confidently your feelings, thoughts, and wants. Time management. The way you spend your time, you plan your time, can also help you to relieve your pressure. Much of the stress occurs, students, mind you, because of time management which is not proper. If we are able to do our work on time, we can avoid stress. Self-care. We should be physically and emotionally prepared to handle the stresses, and this is only possible with the help of self-care. You need to improve your relationships by listening to people, not always contradicting them, accepting the person's feelings, even if they are different from yours, and misplacing your jealousy with a much more positive thought. We need to overcome certain unhelpful habits. There are 3 unhelpful habits. Number 1, perfectionism. Number 2, avoidance. And number 3, procrastination. Perfectionists are those people who want everything right and they come under stress if things are not working properly. Avoidance means pushing the things under the carpet and refusing to accept it. Whereas procrastination are those people. Procrastination is an activity where we basically put off what we know we need to do. So people who are procrastinating, they are deliberately avoiding or confronting their fear of failure and rejection. It is also important to have a very, very rational mindset in order to combat stress. Let's come to the concept of positive health. You know, health is a state of complete physical, mental, social, and spiritual well-being. Now, positive health comprises of healthy body, a good quality relationship, and a sense of purpose in life. Well, there are many things which determine positive health. One is a balanced diet, which can lift one's mood, give more energy, and improve blood circulation, prevent illness, and strengthen the immune system. Some people are able to maintain a healthy diet and weight, whereas others they become obese. When we are under stress, we are always seeking comfort foods which are high in fat, salt and sugar, which we need to avoid. Exercise. There is a good relationship between exercise and health. Regular exercise plays a very important role in managing your weight, in improving the blood circulation, in reducing the tension, anxiety and depression. There are certain exercises like yogic exercises, we have aerobic exercises, asanas, etc. So health benefits of an exercise acts like a stress buffer. Positive attitude. Positive health and well-being can be realized by having a positive attitude. You need to have a sense of purpose in life. There should be a goal in life. There should be responsibility towards your life. You accept and tolerate the viewpoints of others. Always accept your failures and take the credit of your success. Positive thinking. People who are optimistic or who have a positive thinking always expect favorable life outcomes. Whereas those people who are pessimistic, they ignore the problem and use strategies like giving up the goal. So one needs to have an optimistic view towards life. Social support. It is defined as the existence and availability of people whom you can rely upon, whom you can depend upon. In life, you must have maintained such beautiful relationship on which you can trust, you can depend upon. So they are all a part of your social support. Someone who believes that he belongs to a social network of communication experiences a good social support. Social support can be divided into tangible support, like you assist somebody through a material aid like money, services. Informational support, like a student who is facing a stressful event like a board exam, can be provided information by a friend who has already gone through that experience. Supportive friends and family even provide emotional support. So emotional support makes the person realize that he is being valued, loved and cared for. So social support leads to mental health, benefits for both the giver and receiver. With this particular optimistic thought, we hope to avoid stress and maintain such a kind of life pattern so that we can take up much more challenges in life, we can accept our mistakes, and we can take the credit for success and maintain a stress-free life in all.